Unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of months, you've heard of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an AI model designed to understand and generate human-like text. You can ask it questions and even have a simple conversation with it. In this video, I'm going to show you how you could use ChatGPT to scale your real estate business. And we're going to do this specifically by asking ChatGPT questions around real estate metrics for Python. My name is Ariel Herrera with the AnalyticsAriel channel, where we bridge the gap between real estate and technology. Please like this video if you want to see more content and automation related to ChatGPT, as well as subscribe to this channel so that you get the latest content. All right, let's get started. As a real estate data geek, when ChatGPT first launched, my question initially was, how can it help me with my real estate business? How can it help me actually evaluate if a property is a good deal or not? My frequent process is going to Zillow or a similar site, searching for sale properties that are on market, and then plugging these numbers into a particular calculator. Now, if you've been watching previous videos, you know that we can automatically extract the listings from a search and be able to analyze this data as well as even download it into a data set. But what if we want to add metrics on top of this data set? How do we do so? To start, I'm on Google Colab. Google Colab is a free notebook environment where you could run Python code without ever having it installed on your local machine. So down below, I'm going to start by importing some libraries, and I'm going to upload my file that I downloaded from my previous tool. It is called Property Listings Output. And if we read in this file, we could look at the top 5 rows. Here we have information on the listing price, beds, baths. We also get information like rental price, location of the property, and more. For our use case, we want to first start what is going to be our expense. If we want to evaluate all these properties, let's take a look at how many there are. We can print the length of our data frame. And here we see we have 220 properties. What if we want to calculate the mortgage payment across all of them at once? We would need some sort of Python code to help us do so. And if you're new to Python, I do have a whole intro course for free within YouTube, as well as a paid course for Intro to Real Estate Data Analytics, where you learn how to analyze your market from scratch. Now, assuming that you know Python, our next step is we want to understand with ChatGPT how we could then calculate, say, a mortgage payment. And a mortgage payment is the amount of money that you pay to a lender each month to pay off your home loan. So let's go to ChatGPT, and we're going to ask how to calculate a mortgage payment in Python. ChatGPT starts to generate a response. It tells us how to calculate mortgage and that we would need NumPy and Pandas libraries. Here it's going into detail for a specific example of where we have the principal, interest, and loan variables. Then we convert each of these to monthly terms, and then we calculate the mortgage payment with a specific formula. It shows us the formula first, and then it actually calculates it with the variables. Next, it's showing us, particularly if we had an example where the principal was $250,000, interest rate of 4%, and loan terms of 30 years, how we would actually calculate this out. So let's copy this code, and we could bring it over into our Python notebook. Here we could see our monthly mortgage payment would be $1,193. Now this doesn't include things like taxes as well. This is strictly what you owe the lender for being able to obtain the mortgage. So how do we now apply this to our entire data frame? So let's add in another line of code. And if we look again at our data frame, we have a whole set of columns. One of them that we need is principal. So this is going to be what you're taking out as the loan on the property. So one assumption that we have to have is, what's your down payment percentage? So let's say down payment percent will be 0.20. So you're putting 20% down on the property. Next, we need to know, well, what does the property even cost? So if we look at the fields that we have listed here, there should be a field that states price, which there is. This is the listing price. So for what the seller has had their agent list the property on the MLS for. So if we were to just copy this, we can add another line of code, and we could look at the contents within just this column, and we could see that we have our different list prices, and there are float types. They're already numerical, which is good. Now we've established down payment percentage. We know what column we could get the principal. Interest rate is also going to be a fixed variable. So let's copy this down. And let's say that our interest rate in this case is going to be 6.7. So we change this. So almost 7%, as interest rates have risen between 2022 to early 2023. Loan term should be consistent of 30 years. And for the rest of this formula, it still is predicate on the previous variable, so we won't need to change anything there. Let's now create a function where we can calculate the mortgage payment. So we start off with def for function. Let's put mortgage payment metric. It will need to take in the down payment percentage, the interest rate, and a loan term. We'll be able to derive principal, and we will also need to pass in the data frame itself. So let's now put this with a colon, and we're going to take the code that came previously and put it here. So let's make sure our indentation is correct. We have here that we have 4 different inputs. It's going to be our data frame, down payment percentage, interest rate, and loan payment. We still need to be able to calculate principal. So principal is going to be our data, for our data frame, it's going to be this column, which is price, times what we're borrowing from the bank. So it's going to be 1 minus the down payment percentage. So in this case, if our down payment percentage is 20%, then we're borrowing 80% from the bank. Great, so this should set us up where we will have the information that could then be populated, and we want to return mortgage payment back. So we could run this function, and now I'm going to delete these cells, and I'm going to create a new column, and it's going to be called mortgage payment metric, or I'll just call it payment. And we'll have it equal to data frame, apply, we're going to apply a lambda function, axis equals 1, and now we're going to wrap this within our function. So let's take mortgage payment metric, take all this information. Great, so we're going to apply the mortgage payment metric to the data frame that we're passing in, and we already have the column specified here, which is going to be based off of price. Down payment percentage, we can set it down here. Interest rate, we could set it here, and then 30-year term. Then I can delete this here. And now let's run this. And if in only a second, it already calculated our new column, which if we scroll all the way to the end, and yes, there's a lot of columns here, we could now see that we have the mortgage payment column, which is going to calculate based off of our down payment percentage, interest rate, and loan term. Great, so you just saw an end-to-end example of how we utilize ChatGPT to ask a question about a formula for real estate. We were then able to modify the code that they gave us, put it into a function, and then apply it to an entire data set. In the next lesson, we're going to focus on getting cap rate automatically with ChatGPT and then applying it to a data set. See you there.